was quite a tricky sort of move, really. First of all, learning to live with Bridget, and Bridget learned to live with me.
Oh,
Communication.
No, the first was more difficult.
Communication was a big problem. I would say things like, "What time do you want the troops feeding?" And she just looked blankly at me. Of course, what I meant was, "What time would you like me to feed the children tonight?" Flexibility in the field, another army expression which basically means there's been yet another cock-up, we've got to do something else to sort it out. And here's a test, and we've not rehearsed this, but what does second line mean, Bridget?
Having spare shopping in?
Yeah, having spared shopping in the cupboard. That's what second line means. Okay, so that was fine. Living in a city was a big change for me, because I'd sort of lived in rural Wiltshire before I came here. You know, just been 10 minutes walk from John Lewis. You go in there and you're frightened to death by all the footballers' wives and half the cast of Corrie. So that was something different. First time I went into Morrison's, which is literally just down the road, and it was a Saturday afternoon and the place was empty. So, and I was the only bloke, and there was a few women shopping in there, but I was the only bloke. So pushing the trolley around, went through the checkout. Nobody going through the checkouts. And the first thing the lady on the checkout said to me was, normally they say to you, "Would you like any help with the packing?" And she said, "Why are you not watching the match?" I said to myself, "Chris, I think this is a football question." And so I thought I'd show my knowledge, but I didn't have any. And the big mistake then was saying to her, "Who's playing?" Apparently it was Manchester.
Then you met your brother-in-law.
Yeah, we hadn't really got the measurement by then, James. Apparently it was Manchester City versus Manchester United.
Oh.
And I thought at that stage she was going to call security. So I took my black balaclava off, and everything was okay after that. And anyway. And I believe tonight that. Who are the United fans here tonight? Go on, don't be embarrassed, put your hands up. And I think you're missing a very important match, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Richard Sales told me that. He said, "And what's more, I had to give up a concert ticket to come here." I don't think you might be worried about the concert, but the football match was just too much. But so thank you, the United fans, for being here tonight.
What was the
result?
Sorry, there's a result. No, I haven't. No.
Chris.
Maybe yes.
Chris, which was the first team in this country to win the European Cup?
Celtic.
Liverpool.
The bollocks. Celtic. With 11 lads who were
Just in case
born
you hadn't noticed.
within 30 miles of Parkhead. Let's get historical facts.
Let's move on from football.
Right.
So,
For Liverpool.
So the transition was helped tremendously by all Bridget's friends, most of whom were musicians, and I was taken into the fold, and allowed to play with some of them from time to time. And so a really big thank you. Would all the musicians, including the conductors, please stand up? Please stand up. There you go. Musicians stand up. That's the guitarist. So thank you very much. And a big thanks to the cellists who've had the pleasure of tolerating me playing with them in the orchestra. That's tremendous. It's always been a big dilemma for me. You know, it's classical music versus rock. Yeah, I just love heavy rock music. You know, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all that. And I've always thought it's a bit of a moral dilemma because they don't really mix, do they? And it wasn't helped by when I read about in some sort of learned journal about a experiment involving mice. They've got a group of mice. They put them through a maze to see how long it would take them. It took 5 minutes. And then they took the mice, they split them into two groups. First group listened to classical music for a week, and the heavy rock mice listened to heavy rock. Okay, and then they reran the experiment. It then took 5 minutes for the classical music mice to get through the maze. it took the heavy rock mice half an hour. Yeah? Well, that doesn't sound very good. It gets worse because they were going to rerun the experiment, but unfortunately all the heavy rock mice killed each other. So, guitarist, no you can't see them, but guitarist, would you please stand up? Yeah, Alex, guitarist. Yeah, come on. They're through there. They're through there. Yeah, lovely to see. Thank you very, very much for coming. The guitarist's motto is you can't have too many guitars. Can you, Jeff? No? Okay. And I knew a guitarist and he was really, really a morbid fear of death. Yeah, and the reason he was so worried is because he was afraid that his wife, when he'd gone, would sell all his guitars for what he said he'd paid for them. I think being 60, it's a time for reflection.
Yes.
Your mistakes, your regrets, and anything, lots of other things. And I'm sorry my mum's not here to hear this because I, for many years, decided I was going to sue Terry Wogan. Any Terry Wogan fans here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to sue Terry Wogan. And the reason I was going to sue Terry Wogan was when I was about 8 or 9, coming back from primary school, I would come home and around about 4:15 on Radio 2, because Terry Wogan, there was a real radio man in those days, he would be fighting the flab, you know, with all the ladies at home. And my mother used to make me fight the flab with her when I got home from Terry Wogan. And that's been pretty stressful. But okay, I'm going to talk just for a little while about my family and my new family. First of all, my dear wife Bridget, who is it's like living with a whirlwind. It really is. The amount of projects going on is just amazing. But thank you for all your support. I'm really, really grateful, and also for your love. And I'd just like to say publicly that I love you very, very much. Okay. My brother-in-law and sister, Penny and David, not in that order. Would you like to please stand up? Now. Thank you. My football-loving brother-in-law, James.
The Celts are here.
Honorary family, Bev and Glenn. Who'd like to second? Please come up. Stand up. You know you want to. Yeah, honorary family. And finally, my dear father-in-law, Dr. Joseph McShane. Joe, would you please not only my you get your turn in a minute. You get the right to reply in a minute, sir. I'm just gonna.
Don't worry.
Here is Paul's rank. And he's a marvellous man. He is full of life. He's full of youth. He's full of wit, and he is a great companion. And I'm very fond of him.
Now, I've got to say something. Not too many words.
Yeah, good.
But first of all, it's affection.
Yeah, good. Right, Granddad.
And the second one is gratitude.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Bridget's latest hobby, which is 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Okay, 2.5 years. She's taking up acting, and making quite a success of it. And in a couple of 2-3 weeks' time, she is in a play with a very good local amateur theatre company, and the theatre company is called Chad's. In case you haven't got your tickets already, and the play is called, what's it called, Frank? Handbagged.
Handbags.
And Frank's got tickets, so it's called Handbagged, and she takes the role of. There are 2 Mrs. Thatchers in the play, if one wasn't enough. Okay, thank you. And she plays the younger Mrs. Thatcher, and which is tremendous. We're very proud of it. It has been a tough year living with Mrs. Thatcher, I've got to say. Because you get lots of no.
Oh, yes. Most
Anyway,
certainly.
we have some theatre friends with us tonight. Could the theatre friends please stand up?
Where they're at.
They're through there, Lawrence and Trudy. Okay, it's lovely to see you. Thank you very, very much for your company. And last but certainly not least is the Army.
Yay!
Everyone stand up. I think everyone should stand up. The Army ladies as well.
And it's only a sergeant. Sorry.
Okay, so I've served with everyone on all the serving officers, or the retired officers on that table. I've served with in various places in UK and Germany. I went to Sandhurst with Mike and Nigel. Could you just please stand up? Yeah. It's very difficult to. There's lots of stories I'd like to tell. There's lots of stories I couldn't tell about them. Time is pushing on, and I'm very, very keen that we should have one more story, if we may, before we go. Is that okay? I should be 1 minute.
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay. Very quickly, Nigel and I, when we were young lieutenants at Aldershot, we were platoon commanders at the Army Apprentices College Army Catering Corps. And one night, after too many beers, we decided we were going to take part in the Long Distance Walking Association 100-mile walk round Dartmoor. It seemed a good idea at the time. Next morning, not such a good idea. 3 weeks later, a really bad idea. And we had done we were fit, obviously, but we had done very little training. And we went off to do this thing. And it was 100 miles, and you had to do it in 48 hours. And we weren't fit enough to do it very quickly, and so we realised we were probably going to have to walk non-stop, which is what we did. So we set off in the morning, we walked over 2 nights, and on the 3rd morning we were 6 miles before the end. We'd navigated right across the moors in the dark. Yeah, I'll never forget seeing the blazing lights of Dartmoor, the prison, about 2 o'clock in the morning. Glad to be on the outside, I've got to say. And anyway, we got 6 miles before the end, and I'd had it. I mean, he was fitter than me. And he had better boots. I was using army boots in those days. Glenn, you know, they weren't very good, were they? Okay. So I said to Nigel, okay, you go on ahead. The end was in Plymouth. I'll see you there. I did the next 6 miles in about 6 hours. I was walking about 1 mile an hour. I was shuffling. I got to the end, and he wasn't there. He got lost in Plymouth. Nigel, I hate to be pedantic. I've still got the document which gives us our times, and I was 42 hours 37 minutes, and he was 42 hours 57 minutes. Anyway, so I'd just like to say, I know there's not many drinks left, but if pretend to make a toast, I'd like you to stand up, please, if you would. And the toast is to family and friends. Family and friends.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, right. If you'd like to sit down. Ursula is worried that you might not want another story, but I think everyone enjoyed it. Yes. I think we're very, very lucky to have such a good storyteller with us. So, are we all on for one more story?
Yeah.
Brilliant.